Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I am your sister Naomi. We are still in Juice 13. Um, this is part two. Like I said at the top of the previous video, the story of Yusuf alayhi salam make me want to jump. It's so motivating. It makes me want to move. It's just so Subhanallah. Once again, perhaps it's because I grew up in foster care. I grew up in a family full of drama. I grew up with all of Subhanallah. So, okay, so Juice 13 begins in chapter 12, which is named Yusuf, after Yusuf alayhi salam, and this starts at verse 53, and the juice ends at chapter called Ibrahim, of course, after Prophet Abraham, peace be upon him, chapter 14, verse 52. I don't have the numbers, please forgive me as far as the actual verse, the ayat, but it's in there, okay? So Yusuf alayhi salam, he is put in position with the king, where he is now in charge of the resources. Okay, so where we last left off in my previous video, I was given, I was giving the backstory, the at least the biblical, at least the Judeo-Christian, at least the Torah version and backstory of Yusuf alayhi salam. Yusuf alayhi salam, okay, the son of Yaqub alayhi salam, right? And then Yaqub alayhi salam is the son of Isaac, Ishaq alayhi salam, and Isaac alayhi salam from Ibrahim alayhi salam, okay? And how during the life of Yaqub alayhi salam, his struggle with his twin brother, and then him marrying sisters, and the sisters acquiring um, handmaids to help with having offspring, and then Rachel finally giving birth to Yusuf alayhi salam. And by the time Yusuf is born, a lot of people don't like him. I don't believe it was just the siblings. I believe it was the mamas also hating, didn't like Rachel. And you have all this hate and Yusuf alayhi salam, all of it is it's targeted to him because he can't defend himself. He can't defend himself. He's a child. And so the brothers were just so poisoned with jealousy or hatred or something that they wanted to kill their little brother. So they, you have to go into the juice, you have to read the chapter. They sell him into slavery. Yusuf alayhi salam, he is a slave. Um, he lives in the house with uh with the I think I want to say the Aziz. Well, I'm not gonna I don't know the title, okay, but he's with this wealthy, well-to-do man who has a wife who is crazy, and the wife tries to molest him, and then when he turns down, tries to get away from her, uh he is put into prison. So subhanallah, so now you are born into a family where now not only they don't like you, they want to kill you. Now and then you're a slave, you can't go nowhere, you're far away, you're a kid, you don't even know how to go back, you have nobody to defend you, you have nobody to stick up for you, you have no one there for you, and now you're being accused of these things when people don't like that, they don't get what they want out of you. Now they accuse you, then they punish you, they put you in prison. Then he's in prison, and subhanallah, he keeps his faith. Yusuf alayhi salam is an example of somebody being true to themselves. He's an example of being clear about what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created him for, and just keeping firm. while he's in the prison, this is in the previous juice, he interprets dreams. Allah gave him that gift to interpret dreams, subhanAllah. And so he interprets the dreams of these two inmates. One goes back. Now we're in juice 13, and the king is having nightmares, and they're like, I know someone who can interpret your dream. Yusuf alayhi salam comes with the confidence. He's not bitter. He's not angry. He knows what his assignment is. And so at the top of Juice 13, Yusuf alayhi salam says, and I'm paraphrasing, but there's an ayat, there's a verse in at the top of Juice 13, chapter 12, verse 53. In that area, I would say between 53 and 54, there's a verse where Yusuf alayhi salam says to place me over all the resources of the land. Okay. And he says, certainly I know how to manage. I have the necessary knowledge. Subhanallah, the audacity. I love it. The audacity. Yusuf alayhi salam. I have the knowledge. I have the knowledge that you couldn't get from Harvard, that you couldn't get from fancy school, that you couldn't get from watching documentaries or studying on the field. There's some knowledge that can only come through experience. I'm sorry, that was me. That was me adding that. Subhanallah. The confidence, Yusuf alayhi salam. Humility, no arrogance. Just knowing the life experiences and the way he processed it, the way, like, subhanallah. Subhanallah, how many of us look at our childhood and we're bitter, and we've spun a negative story to ourselves. Now, Yusuf alayhi salam, he wasn't delusional. He was very clear that what was done to him was unjust and it was abusive. However, he didn't own it. He didn't own it. Okay? This was his experience. This was his training. So he gets put into the position where he's in charge of the resources. Fast forward, there is a famine in the land. The brothers come. He recognizes them. They don't recognize him. They don't recognize him, okay? And this is like a full circle moment. Now you need me. Now you need me. You don't even know who I am. Because he was a little kid. They probably, like, how little kids, they change how they look. But he recognized them. They were older, so he can, obviously, you might get a little older, but you're gonna look the same. So he recognizes his brothers, and then he doesn't reveal who he is. He gives them food. He gives them a little bit extra, and then he tells them to bring back his youngest brother. SubhanAllah. That right there. Oh my gosh, SubhanAllah. I just wanna. Why? Allahu Alam. This is just me. Why did he say, bring my brother? Can you imagine that conversation? Can you imagine that conversation? Can you imagine being Benjamin? May Allah be pleased with him. Can you imagine hearing these stories of you had a brother who disappeared, and your father has been sad ever since, and I'm sure your mother as well. And can you imagine finally meeting your brother? And not only are you finally reunited with your brother that you've been hearing all these stories about, but he is in charge. He is like second after the king in charge. And Yusuf alayhi salam, the genius, the subhanallah, that only from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala this wisdom. I'm sure it was like, how have you been? How have they been treating you? I can imagine that conversation was Yusuf alayhi salam trying to figure out, tell me, how are our parents? How have you been? How was my mother? How have they been? Have they changed? Were they abusive with you? Did they do to you what they did to me? Like, subhanallah, having that moment to get the update, and to also, subhanallah, have the younger brother who never got to really know or meet his Yusuf alayhi salam, give him an opportunity for them to have their alone time. Subhanallah. Please forgive me. I get overly excited about this, about this story here. Subhanallah. And then finally, when, someone is accused of stealing, you know, all this comes out, and Yusuf alayhi salam reveals his identity. And this is like, I mean, I don't have a favorite part. It's all my favorite part, but I love this part. When Yusuf alayhi salam reveals his identity, immediately after that, now this is in chapter 12, verse 91. I wrote this part down. It's quoted, and I'm going to give the English translation, of course, where the brothers say, "We have indeed been guilty." Subhanallah. We have indeed. I'm Yusuf. What is that for me? They didn't say, well, it wasn't me, it was him. As a matter of fact, Yusuf, they wanted to kill you. I'm the one that came up with the idea to put you in the well. You know what? That wasn't me. No, no blame. No, they just took accountability. Not only I find it so amazing that they said that we have indeed been guilty, okay? That right there, what that means is we deserve whatever punishment you give us. They took full accountability. They said, we have indeed been guilty. How many people who've abused you when you were a child? How many people can say, I was incorrect? What can I do to make you feel better? What can I do to fix this? How can I help you in your healing process? No, they say, well, what was done to me and you don't know and did it. SubhanAllah. That right there is amazing. They said, we have indeed been guilty. They were ready for the punishment. And so then, because they asked for forgiveness, because they acknowledged what they did, then Yusuf alayhi salam forgives them and says that I pray that God forgives you as well. Subhanallah. So I find it amazing when people get abused, especially by their family, and people say, just forgive them. No, they haven't acknowledged. They haven't asked for forgiveness. They haven't. Forgive what? How do you know they're sorry? How do you know that they're sorry? How do you know that they have regret, remorse, and that they would not, given the opportunity, do it again? You don't. You don't know. Okay, so I love that, subhanallah. And then that is where healing could begin. And I feel like, subhanallah, for those of us who whose life, I feel like life has been interrupted. You're born into a pattern once again. You have Ibrahim alayhi salam, you have Isaac alayhi salam, you have Jacob alayhi salam, and then you have Yusuf alayhi salam, and he gets plucked. And the pattern and the cycle is broken in the sense of like someone has to get, like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had to remove him, okay? Put him in training, have the experience. Alhamdulillah, he's a prophet, so these prophets are way better than us, okay? But they are examples to process and look at what you've gone through, not necessarily through a self-loathing personal lens, but look at it as healthy and look at it through clarity, okay? And then just like when he was taken out of the prison, after that woman accused him of trying to attack her. He didn't just say, okay, we good. No, you're going to acknowledge. You're going to clear my name first. You're going to tell people that you lied. I love that accountability. I love that. Yusuf alayhi salam was like, I'm not coming out. I'm innocent. I didn't do anything to earn, I didn't do anything to earn my time here in prison. But I'm not going to come up out of here until you acknowledge what you did. You hold yourself accountable and then we can move on. Same thing with his brothers. SubhanAllah. So subhanallah, please forgive me if I said anything incorrect. I get so, the story of Yusuf alayhi salam, I feel like I just ate a meal and I'm fasting. The story of Yusuf alayhi salam, that just filled me up so much. Subhanallah. So I pray that if you haven't had the opportunity to read the story of Yusuf alayhi salam, to open your Quran. You don't have to go to the Bible. No, 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 no. Open your Quran, okay, and go to the chapter Yusuf. There's a chapter. We make it easy for you, okay? And inshallah ta'ala, the story of Yusuf, along with the entire Quran, will will give you some type of inspiration, motivation to look at your life and to know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is always with us. Allah's plan is greater than our plan. And even when people plot against you, subhanallah, Allah's got you. Allah's got you. All right. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.